The Methuselah Gene. Written by Jonathan Lowe. Narrated by Tim Lundeen. Chapter 1. I felt my stomach growl. The early June sun hadn't visibly appeared, but was already spreading orange marmalade and butter onto the crusty horizon. Then, 3 miles from downtown Alexandria, in the middle of a field where a dairy farm had once been, the Tactar Pharmaceuticals plant suddenly loomed above the hill beyond the city. The 3-story glass and steel structure appeared dark, except for a few lights on the second floor. Its silhouette was haloed by a streak of distant clouds that caught the doomed colors of morning. I parked in my usual spot and surveyed the other cars already there, 6 in the half-light, not counting 2 plant security vehicles. Ominously, there were 3 police cruisers, flashers off, since this was a private lot off a private road. Getting out, I looked up to tally the office lights in the administration section of the building. My own office, Jeffers' office, and 2 others. So Winston had not been summoned. Yet. Jeffers was keeping this low-key, whatever it was. I took the elevator, utilizing my security badge. After emitting a ping, the elevator's stainless steel doors whispered open on the second floor. Treading along the hallway like a burglar might, I felt my heartbeat quicken in my temples. Then, with unusual trepidation, I approached the open door of my own office and stuck my head inside to see Jeffers waiting for me just outside the entrance to the lab. The VP wore a blue pullover sports shirt and sneakers, as though late for an early round of golf at his country club. 2 uniformed officers stood at the shattered window behind him, where a plainclothes detective took a fingerprint sample. "Sir?" I said. Jeffers whirled, staring directly at me, as if at a recalcitrant son returning to the scene of some embarrassing indiscretion. He addressed the officers behind him. "He's here," was all Jeffers said. This time it was clearly different. The conference table had a towel laid across part of its mahogany surface, on top of which had been placed a tray of Danish pastries, a couple basic Krispy Kremes, and a coffee urn. It was 7:45 a.m. now, and other employees had already begun shuffling past the slightly open door on the way to their own offices. Only I, Jeffers, a detective named Shimmer, and a sullen Kevin Connolly remained in the room. We served ourselves with the aid of paper napkins. Were we waiting for Winston? I dreaded asking, and so remained silent until Jeffers answered my question by shutting the door on the hallway. We all sat. Jeffers took Winston's usual seat at the head of the table. Shimmer took out his notepad and clicked his pen to the ready. Connolly cocked his head as though detecting the high-pitched sound of a dog whistle. Then Jeffers frowned and looked at me steadily, a peculiar light in his eyes. "Who knew about this on the outside, Alan?" I found that a perplexed agitation had gripped me. I glanced from side to side, then down at my Danish, in disbelief. I picked it up, wondering whether to eat it or throw it at some hidden target. "Well, no one, sir," I muttered. "I did write an article, as you know, but it was short on specifics, and only hinted at what we might be doing. In the future, I mean." I took an experimental bite of the roll, then followed it with a sip of strong, acidic coffee. I met Jeffers' frozen gaze, and Shimmer's. The detective's pen hovered over his pad. Glances were exchanged between Connolly and Shimmer. Finally, Jeffers lifted and then lowered his own cup. "Industrial espionage from a spy in our ranks. Is that what you're saying?" I chewed and swallowed, ignorant of taste, but thankful for the cover of food as an interrogation aid. I tried to remain calm. "I'm not saying anything, sir. But it is possible, isn't it?" The others stared at me. They looked dubious. Then Jeffers nodded with thoughtful deliberation. "Point of entry was made with a glass cutter. Alarm bypassed because we're talking the second floor. No prints, though. and the guards somehow missed it all too. So you think it didn't happen that way?